Is it possible to establish a new organization in the UN? I mean, is there any opportunity that Russia or China exercise their veto on the plan?
Look, we are looking at all options. Clearly, the Security Council failed with Russia's veto, which was totally unacceptable. So we have to look at options outside of the Security Council. And we're looking at whether we can do something in the General Assembly, do something with the Secretariat, because the sanctions part of the resolution is still there. So what we want to do is find a mechanism that will allow us to do reporting, and that can be done either within the UN or outside of the UN. So we're working with our partners, with the Republic of Korea, with like-minded, with Japan, to see what other options are out there that we can come together to support. And as I said in my last meeting, we expect that Russia and China will try their best to block whatever efforts we're making, because if there's a reporting mechanism, it's reporting on their actions, their illicit actions with the DPRK to break the sanctions regime. Well, there's no veto in the General Assembly. What you need in the General Assembly are 2/3 vote. We haven't determined yet that the General Assembly is where we want to go, but it is one of the options that we're looking at.
How about establishing a new organization in G20 or G7 or something?
Again, there are a lot of ideas out there, and we'll come together with our partners to figure out which is the best option that will get us all what we need, and that is accurate reporting on efforts to break the sanctions and accurate reporting on what is happening inside of the DPRK.
So do you consider these ideas?
We're considering all. We're considering all ideas. Nothing is off the table until we come up with a final plan.
How about PSI regime? Using PSI regime?
It's, again, I think that it's an option, but it's something that we will continue to discuss with the ROK, with Japan and others, to see what we can all agree on and what will actually work. What we want is something that will work, and maybe we come up with 2 or 3 ideas to get to what we want.
Which plan is more preferable, inside the UN or outside the UN?
You know, I think the simple answer to that question is a combination of both. And again, it will require some efforts within the UN system to get to a regime that will work, but we may have to bring the expertise from outside of the UN.
Actually, for proper monitor, wouldn't it be better?
Of course. The 1718 panel of experts was the best. And again, let me just say how disappointed we were, how upset we were that Russia vetoed this and China stood behind them with an abstention.
Okay. Actually, no matter what method it would be, if China and Russia do not participate...
I don't expect that China or Russia will participate in the mechanism, because they know that any mechanism will reveal their illegal acts supporting the DPRK. So I don't think it will make the mechanism less effective that they're not participating. I think their participating would be good if they would agree to do it, but I don't expect that either country will participate. Otherwise, they wouldn't have vetoed and abstained on the resolution.
I understand. Overnight, so some U.S. officials continue to mention...
No, look, our sanctions are working. And of course they want sanction relief because the sanctions are working. But they are using the income that they make from any number of sources to fuel their WMD program. They're not using money to support their own people. And so if they get sanctions relief, they will not use that in the interests of their people. They'll continue to use it to build up their WMD program. So we don't see sanction relief in the cards for them. It's something that both Russia and China have been pushing for. They have this so-called humanitarian resolution that they keep putting on the table to suggest that if we just lift sanctions, it will allow the regime to start to cooperate more. And I just don't see that. I don't see it in the cards from our side, but I also don't see it in the cards from the DPRK side. They want sanction relief so that they can continue to fuel their WMD program.
I understand. Russia thinks that the current sanctions are so harsh, but you do not agree with that idea?
Of course, the Russians think the sanctions are harsh because they are one of the countries breaking those sanctions. And what they want is the sanctions to be relieved to give them a free pass. And we're not prepared to do that.
Okay. Position of Russia and China are somewhat different.
I do think their positions are different. I think they have different goals. And I certainly think that they have different strategies on how they want to push forward their priorities at the UN. But they have made a pact with each other that they will cooperate with each other. They will have a friendship without limits. And that's what we're seeing in terms of their actions in the Security Council.
Rights issues in the PRK is very important.
Absolutely. We cannot ignore human rights in the DPRK, which is why during our presidency, we had one of the first meetings highlighting human rights violations in the DPRK. It is the reason that during my visit here, I met with escapees so that they could share the horrific stories of human rights violations that they themselves experienced. I met with escapees in the United States as well. We can never compromise our values as they relate to human rights in the DPRK. The DPRK, of course, they want to conceal these human rights violations. But that is no reason they should not come to the negotiating table. The door is open. We have opened those doors without precondition. So we're not saying to them that you have to take these certain steps before we will talk to you. We've offered to talk to them without setting any preconditions on those talks. So it's in their hands now.
Does their veto at critical moments?
You know, the Security Council is a very, very complicated institution, but we've had some extraordinary successes. The veto power does not stop the Security Council from working. One of the resolutions I'd like to highlight, we had a resolution providing a carve-out for humanitarian assistance in areas where there are sanctions. And this resolution passed with full support of the Council. We've passed a resolution on Haiti. We've passed a resolution on Burma. We've actually gotten several resolutions passed on other areas of the world. So while the veto power may stop the Security Council from making its voice heard on particular issues, there are other areas where we fully cooperate with each other, and the Council can speak with one voice. Now, all of that said, we are the first to say the Security Council needs to be reformed. We've been in the forefront of raising issues of reform. We've made clear that we think the Council ought to be expanded, that it should have additional permanent members, particularly from Africa and Latin America, countries that didn't exist when the Security Council was created. We think there should be additional members of the Security Council who are elected members of the Security Council. And this is a discussion that is ongoing in New York as we speak.
In Gaza or Iran-Israel conflict?
Look, we were delighted to see ROK come onto the council as a non-permanent member. And in the very short time that they've already been on the council, they've made their voice heard loudly and clearly on issues related to Ukraine. They have condemned Russia's actions in Ukraine, on the situation in Gaza. They have consistently ensured that they have expressed their views strongly, and then they have their own priorities that they've brought to the council, working on issues related to women's peace and security, working on children's issues, and they will be president of the council in June, and we look forward to their leadership.
Okay, nuclear test or launching an ICBM.
Look, this is something that we have been raising as a concern, certainly for the past 3 years since I've been on the council, because we've seen the DPRK launch about 100 missiles, all breaking Security Council resolutions. But we've also been clear that if they were to cross that red line and test a nuclear weapon, that we absolutely have to hold them accountable. First and foremost, we will call an emergency meeting of the council immediately. And in that emergency meeting, we will ask all council members to join us in a resolution condemning their action. And we would expect that both Russia and China would be part of that. The DPRK has always fought against ever being brought before the council. And we've succeeded on several occasions to bring their issues before the council. This will be one where there will be no stopping the council from addressing this issue. So to be clear, we would immediately call for an emergency meeting of the council. We would immediately call for condemnation of their actions, and we will lay out ways that we can hold them accountable.
Plans to adopt the cyber.
You know, cybersecurity is extraordinarily important. We think it is an issue that should be discussed in the council because it is about peace and security. The DPRK used their cyber efforts to undermine peace and security around the world. They use it to get funding to support their unlawful WMD program. So yes, this is something the council should engage on, and it is something that I look forward to working with other council members on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.